opportunity with the next group.
Okay, the next group is Stelling Gateway, and that's number 20. We don't have any tier 2 in this. We have 3 sites, and I'll take you to the map now. It's 20A, B, and C.
Did you say it's 20?
Yes, number 20.
Okay, just trying to see.
Okay, so 20 A, B, and C. Right, so we have the Homestead Lanes, that whole thing, but not including the McDonald's, I guess, for 20B. And then 20C is not including the Bank of America. What building is 20C? What is that now?
It's volleyball courts for the field, for the church there, the parking lot and tennis courts, etc.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I believe, is that the church that already put in housing on some of their land?
Correct, the last
A while back. Okay. Right, yeah, I remember that. Those units up by 280. Okay, so these are all tier 1 sites, and none of them back up to any single family homes. Is that true?
That's correct.
Correct.
Okay, and this is how many units per acre?
Bringing us back to the table. For 20, these are all 50 dwelling units per acre.
Okay. All right, let's go to members of the public. This one should be pretty easy. Okay, so I'm going to the attendees. We have Scott Connolly, then Jennifer Griffin, then Peggy Griffin. Go ahead, Scott.
All right, really quick. So curious if 3 of the sites are Valley Church owned properties with underutilized land or tennis courts, what have you. Curious if they've expressed an interest. Secondly, the Homestead Shopping Center is made up of all different owners with an underlying set of CC&Rs that I believe prohibit development. That's why you've seen groups like Swenson that own the bowling alley that has not redeveloped because of CC&R issues. And then lastly, I'd just like to say Pew and Luke, outstanding job tonight. Luke's calculator skills on the fly are very good. You guys are in a tough position of answering questions on the fly, and you've done a great job. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Luke, can you respond to Scott's concerns? So are all those sites, all the tier 1 sites, have the owners requested to be included?
The church did. I'm not aware of the issues that Scott identified with the CC&Rs on the center, including the bowling alley. That I'm not aware of. I think he has more detail on the property's history than I do. But these sites, we have received owner interest for these properties.
Okay, so all of them have owner interest. Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Jennifer, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Sharp. Yeah, my comment about, the church, who knows, but the Homestead Shopping Center, that one has come up, a lot in the last 20 years. And I think there are 3 separate owners in there. 4 if you count the McDonald's, and their reciprocal parking lot agreements in there. So that one is going to be a real kettle of fish. The bowling alley's just sat there for years. Nobody's taken care of it. Parking lot looks like a mess. And it's just, then again, remember, this is the gateway to Cupertino. That intersection is very, very busy. You have Homestead down the road. I went to Homestead. I know this area very, very well. And you've got Sunnyvale across the street with a gigantic shopping center there that could redevelop. Also, I'm going to just make a comment. As we're upzoning stuff, we need to keep take a look at the developers that come in right away to buy these properties to find out if some of the Southern California big development groups are going to be moving in. And I'm going to say stuff that's attached to Transform San Diego and Abundant Housing LA. I predict they're going to be up here A1 ready to buy and develop. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Next we have Peggy Griffin. Go ahead.
Just a quick reminder, if these two corners get developed, please find policies and controls to maintain some retail. These people, if it becomes very dense, you've already got Markham and the Sunnyvale apartments across the street. They're going to need retail, and it's not just the Sunnyvale provided retail. So thank you.
Okay, Lisa Warren.
I apologize. I'm going to backtrack a little because I didn't have time to say this, but talk about underutilized properties, that Kelly Moore and Bianza that Scott mentioned. I would just say keep that in your noggins. Thank you.
Okay, well, they did just move to that building too. Okay, very good. So now we can bring it back to the panelists. Okay, let's see if we have any comments. Does anybody wish to speak on this before we entertain a motion? And I would point out, I believe the Homestead Lanes property that was I forget how they labeled it. On the fifth cycle, that was one of the sites for like Plan B. Is that correct, Hugh?
Yes, that was what was it called? A tier B site or
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, what? And I think they had requested it back then too. But
Yes, it had 155 units on that. But on that.
Right. So somehow I understand Luke's concerns, but somehow I guess they're going to work those out. And let's go to Ray Wong.
Hey, thanks a lot. I think my big concern here is just the loss of massive retail here. I think one of the reasons that retail does fail, especially the restaurants, are every time we put a new development, the rents go up to a point where the cost per square feet doesn't work. These old shopping centers are awesome because the rents are pretty low, and they they get to actually like operate or try to experiment. I'm not sure how we recreate that. But I think that may be the issue as we get to mixed development and mixed use. I've seen probably 100 articles on mixed use that keep showing that developers hate it. Nobody uses it. No retailers want to move into that space. And it's really the economics don't work out. So I'm not sure what we can do to improve those economics, but just something to consider.
Yeah, thank you, Ray. I point out the shopping center near you, the Laurie Shopping Center, which people say it's the ugliest shopping center in Cupertino. It's now packed with restaurants because
low rent.
The rent is low, and it's people can survive. Businesses can survive there. Even the vacuum cleaner store is still there. Okay, Connie.
Yes, I got back just a teensy bit late, and I would like to be directed to where we're talking about right now.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we're talking right. Stelling and Homestead. Okay. One of them is the Homestead Lanes. One of them is the church. And what was the third one? Now I forgot.
Okay.
It's next to the church, I guess.
I didn't realize one was a church. Yeah. One is that?
Well, it's not. It's part of the church. I think they said it's the volleyball courts.
There's tennis courts and volleyball
courts. Or tennis courts, yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's different then. Okay, yeah. I thought you were talking. Okay, I just wanted to be sure I was. Okay. As far as the homestead, it just bowls. It seems like that's a great place to put homes because, as you said, it hasn't been doing anything but languishing all these many years. And if they're willing to put homes in, I think that's a wonderful thing. So that would be my opinion on the Homestead Lanes.
I don't know if you were back before we mentioned that is actually the Plan B for our fifth cycle element. Are those?
It was, and the thing is, it never happened. But that was years ago, and they didn't have the opportunity. I was under the impression that they had to be asked or invited or something. So Yeah, yeah, so what you're saying now is that they have been invited and they did
Right.
put up their
Well,
hand?
yeah, they've expressed interest.
Okay, so I think maybe it's a
Okay.
different situation.
Yeah.
Might hope, yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
Mooney,
that's all.
Mooney, quickly.
So what's left of 20A, like to the west of 20A? Do you know what's there? What's there?
The McDonald's, is that what you're referring to?
No, that's the PG&E substation over there.
Oh, okay. I don't have the map up on my.
Okay.
Here.
That's the substation. Okay, that's great. Do we know what elementary schools this area feeds to? I was wondering if it's Lincoln or
Garden Gate. I'm not sure. No, I don't think it's Lincoln.
okay.
It would probably be Garden
No,
Gate.
this would probably be Garden Gate, or I think there might be some arrangements to have it different, but I think it would probably be Garden Gate.
Okay.
Right. There's another elementary school over there that's closed, Sarah, I
Correct.
think it's called. And I don't think there's any plans to reopen that.
Okay. Thanks. Those are my comments. Yeah.
Okay. Tessa.
Just there is some shopping where the hardware store is right across the street, and the gym and Walgreens, I think it is, or
CVS. Yeah.
CVS, yeah. So there is some. I think that the housing in this location, I think, would be. I think it's a great idea. I was concerned with the housing that's on the side of the bowling lanes, but because of the way they're configured, I don't think we could do what we did before, because they're surrounded by it, or at least on two sides of it. So it's either yay or nay. That's
all right.
Thank you.
Okay, Govind, really quick.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure I understand there is an easement to reach this particular transformer pool that they have, because it's behind something. I think that could be the PG&E office or something. I'm not sure, but anyway.
That's a flag lot. It has its own driveway. It's the white line, the thick white line.
White line, okay, that's good. Yeah, I just wanted to check for the easement. No problem. The other thing is that because if you're going to change these tennis courts, I believe they are tennis courts, that's what it looks like. If there's going to be upzoning of this, then I think the issue would be that to make sure that there's sufficient isolation with the transformer area. I don't know how that's done, but anyway. So other than that, I don't have any specific questions. Loss of detail is going to be a big issue. I bet everybody is going to weigh in on that part.
Okay, thank you. So can we have a motion for this one? For
May I ask a quick question? Do we confirm that Valley Church is interested in unloading these properties? Sorry.
Yes, they had submitted an owner interest form.
Yeah, Luke already said that. Okay, so right, so I'll make a motion that we keep 20 A, B, and C as is with that density. And that's it. Let's have a second.
Connie Cunningham seconds.
Second, yeah.
Okay, vote please. Roll call, please.
Okay, Planning Commission Chair Scharf,
Aye.
Commissioner Matipatla,
Yes.
Commissioner Wong,
Aye.
Housing Commission Chair Parrish,
Yes.
Commissioner Tadachari,
Yes.
Commissioner Cunningham.
Yes.
Okay, that passed unanimously.
Okay, Andy, go ahead. Next one.
So the next one we can do, we have three special areas: Homestead, Monta Vista Village, and Bub Road. And then we have 4 neighborhood areas. So I recommend we start with Homestead because we're right here. It's right next to
Okay,
it.
go.
19A and 19B for a total of 27 units.
Okay.
I'll show on the map.
Okay, let's see. 19A.
19A was a site that asked for a general plan amendment authorization a couple of years ago.
Oh, that was the one to split it into 5 lots or something?
4 lots.
4 lots.
Correct. So we're looking at that and for a higher density at this time. And then 19B is the burnt down auto center at the corner, northwest corner of the.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that was Cupertino. Yeah, I mean, the auto center is fine. That doesn't back. And what Sorry, what density was that? Just tell me. You don't have to go back to the table.
I can look that up. Those are at, so the auto center is at 50 and
Okay.
the other one is at 15.
15. How big is the other site?
It's just a tad under half an acre, so it would yield about 6 new units, so a total of about 7 townhomes.
Okay, and this is tier 2, right?
These are tier 1.
Tier 1. Sorry, yeah, tier 1. Okay. Yeah. Before we discuss it, let's go to the public and see if anybody wishes to speak. This is okay. Griffin number 1, Jennifer.
Griffin number 1. Yes, thank you, Chair Sharp. I just had a comment about the two of them. I understand the one that had burned down, which was a car repair place. That might be a good site. I'm not sure what the height is there because you do have homes behind it, which I'm not sure if they're Sunnyvale or Cupertino. The other site, which was on Homestead 19A, which I remember is the one that came up. They wanted to split the lot and put in ADUs and all sorts of stuff. I'm just wondering what height they could go to there because there is residential around it, and I'm a little bit nervous about having housing element sites next to existing homes. That area along South Dianza Boulevard, they just nailed the neighborhood my husband grew up in, which is back there by Blue Hills. In fact, you guys have just upzoned his old medical offices down there, that building. So I'm just wondering if any of those people back there know that they just got creamed and that there's going to be high density housing right outside of the back of it. This is the part I'm worried about. So please let those people know in across the street in Sunnyvale that this is what's happening so that they can go and complain to their city council members about it. Thank you.
Okay, Peggy Griffin.
Thank you. Quick, I don't understand why these two sites are about the same size and yet one is 6 units and the other one at the car lot, the car working place, is 21. Why aren't they the same? I can't imagine 21 units at the corner of Dianza and Homestead. So I was wondering if you could just kind of even it out and explain why there's such a difference. Thank you.
Okay, before we go to Luke, before we go to Scott Connolly, can Luke Connolly answer Peggy's question?
Yeah, I think I can. Is that the one site is at a cross section of the two major streets, Homestead and Dianza, and the other one is more set in a residential area. So the density recommended, I think Pew had just mentioned, one is 15, the one that's grouped in there with the homes, and the other one is 50 because of its location. It would have less of an impact on a single family neighborhood.
Okay, and how high can that one go, the 15 per acre?
That would still be at 30 feet.
Okay.
Townhome sized.
Okay. Scott, go ahead.
On 19B, would anyone on this phone call like to live right there? Again, this is one of those sites where you're like, how do you get 25 units at 50 units an acre on a half acre site? I don't know how you do that without some kind of parking challenge. The other thing is there's been a lot of comment about proximity to single family homes. And maybe this is a question Pew would have a take on, or Luke, but why doesn't the city just do what other cities like San Jose does and say, look, if you're in the proximity of a single family home, institute the 45-degree plane where the property next door cannot breach that 45-degree plane from the other property line. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's a good point, Luke, but I think the issue there is they could just use a waiver. Is that to get around the 45-degree plane? Is that true, Pew?
We already have those policies. In some areas, it's a 2-to-1. In some areas, it's a 1.5-to-1, which is actually better than a 45. With 45 degrees is a 1-to-1, and so it's. But we're not saying that those policies will not be adopted. All we're just stating, as a matter of fact, is that they can be encroached upon with a density bonus waiver. That's a possibility.
Right. Those properties in Sunnyvale just to the north, are those single family homes or are those multifamily homes? Yeah, those.
They are.
I think they're in Cupertino. I think
Yeah.
Oh, those are in Cupertino too?
Yeah.
They look like multifamily.
Oh, how far does Cupertino go before it becomes Sunnyvale?
It's just that one property.
Just those houses there.
Correct. I'm just trying to look it up for myself.
Yeah, it's called Forge Way or whatever.
It's a small townhome development over there.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are townhomes. Yeah.
It's a Widowich owned properties.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of agree with Luke that density's not Luke, Scott Connolly, that the density on 19B just seems really high. Wait, were there any other? I think no other.
I will
No
say
other.
this. Sorry if I may.
Yeah, go.
The lower the density, the more desirable the units are. However, from an ownership perspective, would somebody with that kind of would that really be a desirable location for that kind of housing at a lower density? So I guess there's the trade-off that you have to look at. What is this? What can be developed here, and what can it be developed for? The higher density will allow maybe an affordable housing developer the opportunity to purchase that site and develop it at a higher density. But again, that's
okay.
Those are the things that we're thinking about when we're coming up with these.
Okay, sorry, I missed Lisa Warren. Go ahead, Lisa. And that's the last public comment I'll take. Okay.
I'm not. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was going to comment on what Pew just commented on. These smaller sites, because there are many of them, and honestly, they're what we have. That I understand Scott Connolly's question, and he knows a lot about all of this, as does Pew. But we do need sites that, if they're in the right location and not going to be, I don't know what the adjective I'm looking for is, but if they're in a good location for a higher density, that is a place for, it's right by the grocery, et cetera, et cetera. There's services for people of low income who may want to walk across the street, don't need cars. That kind of site to me is that kind of site. But I could be wrong, because I do know that area because I campaigned for some of you in that area.
Right.
Anyway, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. All right, let's bring it back to the panelists. Personally, I'm inclined to leave that the way it is at those densities and as tier 1 sites, but I will hear what other people say. Go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, just a quick question. I probably would split these two. I think they're very different sites. If we're going to vote differently on it, I don't see why 19A should be a tier 1 site, but that's my comment there. So I'll leave it at that. Okay,
and let's see, we are on to Mooney.
So I have a question. Can we go to the 19A?
You're talking about the map?
Map, yeah. So on the map. So wasn't there a development application to build a 4-unit home or something, right here? Can you zoom out a little bit? Was it?
You're right, there was.
I can give you a little bit. It was not an application. They had applied for a general plan amendment authorization. So the city had authorized them to apply for a general plan amendment. However, that never happened. So I don't believe they can come back with that particular authorization. They'd have to go through the process again.
No, which location is that? Is that
19A.
It's 19A?
Correct.
Okay. So
they never proceeded with the authorization that they received.
Okay. I think, for that location with, all these single family homes surrounding, I'm concerned about, allowing it to be, like the density that's being proposed here. It looks, somewhat odd. And 19B, it, even though on paper looks, practical, but, looks possible, but, I don't know how practical it is. So I'm okay with the 19B, but 19A, I'm concerned.
Okay, let's see. Anyone else want to speak? Govind.
Yeah, if it's possible to zoom out a little bit so that we can understand the so I think I kind of tried, I agree with what Mooney just expressed. So I'm presuming that there is an access to 19B from the left side. Is my understanding correct?
No.
Is it only right side or left side?
From Homestead and De Anza, there were the driveways on Homestead and I'm sorry, yes, Homestead and Sunnyvale, Saratoga at that point.
Oh, so if the 19B is developed, there is only one way to get into the place and get out of that place.
There'll be two access points, one on Sunnyvale, Saratoga, and one on Homestead.
One on Homestead, I see. Oh, okay. Yeah. So I kind of think that development is possible in 19B. It'll be pretty attractive too. But yeah, 19A, is it? I thought the 19A was on the top. Is it 19A on the top or 19B on the top? I mean, in this
the
picture.
map currently showed 19B, and this is 19A coming up now.
Okay. So 19A is on this side. Okay.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And the density is 15 units per acre proposed?
15, which is about townhomes, yes.
Yeah. How many townhomes would that be?
It'd be 6 or 7.
And what will be the height if you, without...
no more than 30 feet, which was what currently is allowed there.
Okay. So, yeah, okay, it's 30 feet. Yeah, I think it's possible, except that they have to think about the neighborhood. So, I don't know.
There are some developments in Sunnyvale just across the street that are kind of at that density, similar types.
Yeah, I think that's a better plan than the GPA that they requested personally. Okay, let's see. Connie, go ahead.
Yeah, quick question. What is that big thing on the side? It's got trucks and all. It looks like it's being built. What is that?
That's a PG&E Corporation yard.
Oh, okay.
Right. This is that really strangely zoned lot. What is it zoned? Like
A143.
Which is
agricultural.
Agricultural.
About 1 acre. Yeah, 1 acre site.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I remember that, but this didn't look like a PG&E site to me, so I was confused. But okay, I see what it's
part of their site.
Okay, so no more hands raised. Can someone make a motion, please, for these? I'm tired of making all the motions.
Motion to leave them as is.
Yes. Yeah.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Okay, Planning Commission Chair Scharf.
Aye.
Commissioner Matipatla.
No.
Commissioner Wong.
No.
Housing Commission Chair Parrish.
Aye.
Commissioner Tadachari.
Aye.
And Commissioner Cunningham.
Aye.
That passed 4-2.
Wonderful. Okay, Andy, go ahead.
Okay, on to number 21, Monta Vista Village. This one has 1 tier 2. We can ignore that now if you prefer, and we can move on and just look at 21A and 21C.
Okay.
If I could add something, actually information we received the end of last week from the property owner on Monta Vista Village, the 21A and 21C, the Olive Avenue and Pasadena Avenue properties, actually had more existing units than we were aware of. So the Olive Avenue site, instead of having 3 units, has 5 existing units.
Oh.
Pasadena has 4 existing units instead of 2 existing units.
Oh, so we would lose units if we...
Correct. So based on that, it was very difficult to tell, but the owner emailed us. Based on that, I would recommend that neither of them be considered a site because they're not going to really result in anything in terms of additional
result in
units.
displacement and higher rents.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's go to public comment. It seems like we won't do these, but let's see if anybody wants to comment on these sites. Okay, Jennifer.
Yes, I'll be real quick. I was confused. Can you guys put that map up again? It just went away. Thank you. Oh, no, wrong site. We need Monta Vista.
I'm getting there.
Not the PG&E sub yard. Okay. We tried to subdivide that years ago. It didn't work. The two sites that you guys just said had more, I still can't see them in here. That had more units than you thought. What were those? Were they single family homes that got developed and split like about 10 to 14 years ago? We had a lot of lot splits and redevelopment in that area years ago, and I'm just wondering if those are like some of those flag lots and things that had multifamily housing built on them. Why were they even suggested in the beginning, and how large are those lots? Are they in single family home areas? Thank you.
If I may, Chair.
Yeah, go.
So the Olive Avenue properties were actually developed in the county. Those are actually single family homes, one behind the other, sort of organically.
The flag lot. Okay, yeah.
They're not flag lots. They're all on one lot. The Pasadena one, I think, is a fourplex. It somehow ended up being coded as a duplex in our database, which is why we weren't quite sure. But it turns out there are actually 4 units there. And then, yeah, those are the 2 properties that we're recommending be changed right now to tier 2 or be taken off altogether.
Right, very good. Okay, did someone else, let's see, does someone else want to speak here? Okay, Lisa, go ahead.
Okay, so I understand the reasons for the removing those, but I think that the tier 2, 21B would likely be a good idea. It's currently on the market, and it's currently a freestanding office building in among multi-unit housing / office. So I think that one should become a tier 1.
Okay.
If I may, Chair.
Yeah, of course.
That would result in a net new of 1 unit, which, they can already do right now. They can build a 1 unit on the site as is. So from a perspective of adding 1 unit, I mean, if that's the commission's desire, we could, but I don't think
that's a good point. Okay, Peggy Griffin, go ahead.
I was going to suggest the same thing that Lisa Warren suggested, except why 1? Why can't you increase the density of that tier 2 to be more? Anyway, just a thought.
Okay. Well,
thank you.
I think they can always do an SB9 lot split, can't they?
Not on this particular site.
Oh,
it is
because
rather
it's
small.
zoned.
Yeah,
okay.
It is very small. And then parking would become an issue as well.
Right, but we can't consider parking. Okay. Let's see. All right, let's bring it. Yeah, I would suggest that we just vote to not take any of these. But okay, Govind, just be brief, please.
Sure. So if there is no issue of displacement, then I think we should consider was it B, 21B? So I think we should consider that because it might be possible to put some kind of units which are larger than the number of units currently there. But it depends on whether there's a displacement or not. If there's displacement, I won't recommend that at all. But that's one thing. The other is that since we are losing some of these tier 1 sites here, are we going to consider other sites which are not yet listed, or is this the final meeting from planning and housing side?
So Luke, have we actually lost a net number of units? Luke, you're doing the count.
Yeah, I've been doing it sort of as we go. We're very close in terms of
breaking even to what?
Yeah, the heart of the city east, which we probably spent the most time on, the first one with the 18A and B sites. That went from 133 to approximately 125.
Right.
By splitting the 2550, but also
and adding the gas station.
Adding the gas station made it very close. Similarly on South De Anza summer winds came off at 68, but Yamagami's went on at 72.
Plus, the density was increased on all the other sites to at least half of them to 50.
Correct. So, and that I hadn't calculated, but assuming half the area went from 30 to 50, that's going to be a big increase.
That went to 334 units, I think.
Right. I think, yeah, I think what Gobin said is probably not true. I think we're probably ahead of ourselves with tier 1 right now. But yeah, Luke, you can calculate that while we move on. So yeah, let's vote on, I guess we don't have to vote, or
I thought you wanted to delete them though.
Yeah, I thought.
Right, yeah, okay, yeah.
Did you want me to make the motion?
Right, yeah, go ahead and make the motion.
Okay, I move that 21A, B, and C be removed from the housing element list.
I'll second it. Okay, let's have a vote.
Hold on. So we are just taking them from tier 1, but they would still be tier 2, right?
No, we're removing them.
Altogether? Wow.
Yeah. Okay, we have a roll call vote.
Okay.
Someone.
Planning Commission Chair Sharp.
Aye.
Commissioner Matipatla.
Yes.
Commissioner Wong.
Aye.
Commissioner Parrish.
Aye.
Commissioner Tajachari.
Aye.
And Commissioner Cunningham.
Aye.
Okay, we have a unanimous.
Great.
approval
Okay,
to remove.
Andy, let's move on quickly.
The next one is Bub Road.
Oh, that's a difficult one.
No,
It's
no,
what?
it won't be difficult.
This one is number 13.
Okay.
Bub Road, we only have one site, 13A, for a total of 13 units. And I'll share that on the map.
Okay. This is McClellan. So this is McClellan and Bub.
One of the last.
Slightly
Let's see.
east of that.
So
13A.
this site would be a good candidate.
Wait. Oh, so that's 85 there. Why don't I? Okay, there's Bub over there. Oh, right. So what?
This is the only house in that place.
Yeah,
That'd
yeah.
be a single family home.
Can you zoom in on that? So what is the density proposed here? And what is the size?
It's a half acre, I think.
I think it's, let's see, 13.
I thought it was 30. But
It's a 0.47. It's a half acre.
4.7, yes.
0.47. Okay. And
Could potentially be housing for the ANSYS students.
right. So how many units would go in there? What's the density?
30.
Proposed at 30.
So
For
Okay.
13, for 13 units.
Okay. All right. Let me go see if anyone from the public wants to comment. Hopefully not. Okay. Jennifer, go ahead.
Yeah, I just throw that in there. Is that I'm assuming that's a house in there, and what is that to the left of it? It looks like some sort of a storage shed or something. I don't
No, no,
understand
I think
what.
Those are
that's an-
Apple offices. Or,
Right. That's commercial office.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. How about access? Okay, I'm just going to throw that out there. Access issues for this property. You've got. Is there access onto? Is that 85 there?
Yeah, that's 85. I don't think there's
Access
any
is off of
access on
McClellan.
just
Yeah,
on
Right, there's
McClellan.
no access from Bub.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I if you're putting in a lot of units there, I'd be really concerned about driveways coming in and out of there. That's my only comment.
All right, thank you. Okay. Let's go back to the panel. Hopefully no one wants to comment on okay, go ahead, Connie.
I want to do two things. One is I am good with this particular application on this. I didn't have any questions about it. But one of the things that I had brought up at the last meeting was how concerned I was about displacement. And we did hear from a number of people how concerned they were with displacement. And excuse me, and then there was the east versus west divide and all that. And I had an idea this morning because Apple as a matter of fact, if you were to make that bigger, this is all Bub Road stuff is how it segues in. This is all Bub Road. And if you take, excuse me, Bub Road on the side between Bub and the little railroad, and you take 8 of those buildings out of there that are currently Apple leased, that's 9 acres. And if you were to be able to develop that the way we've been talking about the others, that's a significant amount of housing that would add a buffer, especially if if for some reason Hamptons doesn't build. And what I thought was very interesting is that somebody had said, is that these are all leased by Apple, which means there's a property owner of some sort. So if you were to, if Apple were to be interested in the fact that maybe all of their employees are no longer wanting to work away from home and they really need to reduce their stock, their office space, they could take this one piece and just take those people. They'd still have all the ones on the other side and they'd still have all the ones over on a Results Drive. But this one piece here then could be made into a nice big piece of homes on the west side. So I wanted to raise that because it seems to me that there is some possibility that Apple might be interested in that, and that the property owners, if Apple were not going to be leasing there, might be interested in joining the housing element. So I thought I would broach that and see what planning, whoever has a comment about that.
All right. Yeah, I think, Pew, you mentioned before that Apple and the property owners, they said there's long-term leases and they have no interest.
This time we have not heard about anything from any of the property owners or from Apple about interest in developing any of these sites.
Yeah, well, but I agree with Connie. It would be a great place. Both sides of Bub Road would be wonderful if the property owners were interested.
You know, it'd be so great, Chair, if I may just say, because one of my recommendation would be that the council actually approach Apple with that concept that, because maybe they're internally thinking about what they might need to do with office space because some people don't have to work in the offices anymore. All kinds of things go on behind the scenes in in businesses. And Apple and other businesses like Cisco and Google have also been offering billions of dollars to help with homelessness in that. So there is a certain amount of prestige also that could be obtained by Apple by helping solve a serious housing issue that we have here in Cupertino. So my recommendation really is that we, the Planning Commission and Housing Commission, recommend to the City Council that they begin those discussions, maybe offline, however one does that with businesses.
Okay. Ray, go ahead.
Actually, this is one of the few areas in the city where actually would support higher density and upzoning. I think we can do a lot more with that property given it's next to commercial and it's on the other side of 85. I'm not sure what the right way to do that or how other commissioners feel on this, but I think it's definitely a good place to add some density, given the proximity to other commercial areas and given proximity to the school. There's not going to be a lot of resident protest here, and it could actually address some of the affordability issues as well. So I think it might take a look at the site differently. So that's all.
Right. Thanks. So what density could we go to there, Luke or Pew?
I don't know. It's a small.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. It's a small site, but I think Andy had a good point too with the proximity to De Anza. That it could be a site certainly to meet student housing needs.
No, I think we're talking about mixing of two things.
Yeah.
I think this particular 13A, people are okay with that. What the other commissioners are talking about is that all the properties along the buffer.
No. I'm talking about this particular property. Yeah, we've already approached Apple multiple times about all those Bub Road properties, and talking to the real estate people, and they just keep saying they're not interested. So I'm talking about that specific property. I'm
only talking about 13A as well. I'm only talking about 13A.
13A.
Yeah, I would just to finish. I think if the commission is interested in higher density, despite the small site, given the location, if you wanted to put this at say 50, which we have a lot of other sites, mostly along major corridors, I wouldn't see anything wrong with doing that. This could be a very good affordable housing site that could meet the needs of the students. It really doesn't have any other impact on single family or other residential.
Right.
And, and maybe in a sense, if the city is really interested long-term in having Bubb Road redeveloped, that may set the tone for that as well.
Okay. Go ahead, Mooney.
Yeah, so my comment was going to be along the lines, Connie was talking about, that's the reason that I said, when we started Bubb Road, I said, no, that's a long drawn out conversation. That's because, I wanted to visit the entire Bubb Road to see, what opportunities exist there, right? Because that could solve a lot of our problems. And in schools there, and that area, housing and mixed use development with shopping, all the way up to the post office would be a wonderful thing to do.
Yeah, I agree. And if the council wants to rezone that land, despite being no interest from the property owners for housing or mixed use, that would be fine. But I would say that's not what we're actually discussing right now. Okay, Govind. Okay, Govind is not there. How about?
No, I'm here. I was muted. So yeah, I think 13A at density of 50 units. I think that would be a great step in terms of providing housing for students. I agree with that part, and I also would like to endorse what Connie Cunningham has said, that we should council should consider the whole property. That's 9 acres. She mentioned 9 acres, so I guess that will be a great addition to our pool of sites. Thank you.
Okay, Sue. I'm sorry, Tessa.
Yeah, no problem. So I'd like to propose what Mr. Connolly suggested, to increase the density for 13A to 50. And then I'd like to propose that the parcel that Connie mentioned and the other one across be put on tier 2, because I do think Apple might be changing their mind. I mean, we're going into a recession and a lot of things have been happening, and it might not be a bad idea if the commission thinks it's a good idea.
Okay, Pugh, go ahead.
I would not discourage anybody from upzoning anything. However, I would just suggest that we do have to be judicious about what we upzone without property owner interest, how much we do that.
Exactly, yes.
Just because every site will be scrutinized and it has to be acceptable. And I know Andy has something to add to that.
Okay, Andy.
Thank you. I just wanted to add that this could be something that is demonstrated to HCD as an increase to the buffer. So if we have a few different buffer options right now, as we talked about at our last meeting and we show here represented. So if we were to go with a smaller buffer, this concept could be suggested to HCD as with an explanation about the situation, and also an intention to demonstrate that the city would like to see housing here, and that could put downward pressure on those property owners over time.
Well, yeah, I had mentioned this a long time ago. It's like, should we rezone properties with no interest to put pressure on the owners who may have dreams of high density commercial, but once we rezoned it to housing, high density housing, they might be interested in building. But then the issue is, and I talked to Pugh and the lawyer about this earlier today, is you don't want to use up all your sites in this housing element and then not have them available in the future. So you have to be careful not to have too big of a buffer.
Okay. Well, if we need the buffer, maybe we could come back to this. Okay, thank you.
R. Wong.
Yeah, I do have a quick question. I mean, at 50 GU on half an acre site, which is a $4.5 million land acquisition, probably 4 units per floor, you're talking 12 stories. I just want to make sure we're on the same page on heights here. So does that sound about right to everyone here?
Yeah, but I don't think they would build 12 stories. It's too expensive. And
Okay,
And you know,
just checking.
this could be a site that
checking.
De Anza uses their bond money to purchase.
So I think, we should leave it as, 30 density and just move on.
30 or 50?
I think it's currently proposed is 30 dwellings per acre, so which will be like, 13 units out of it.
Yeah.
I would be okay making a motion to keep it as it is.
Yeah, I would suggest that.
And my motion would be, my substitute motion would be to increase it to 50.
I don't know what you could build with a 50 D, but go
Well,
for
I
it.
know, but that's up to the owner.
I second the amendment.
Yeah,
Okay,
me
so,
too.
all right, so we vote on the substitute motion first, and then if that fails, we come back. So, yeah, can we have a roll call? Wait, was there a second to the substitute motion?
I will second your
second.
substitute motion.
Okay, okay, let's have a roll call on that, which is to increase that site to 50 units per acre.
Okay, Planning Commission Chair Sharp,
Aye.
Commissioner Matipatla,
No,
Commissioner Wong,
No.
Commissioner Parrish,
Aye.
Commissioner Tadachari,
Aye.
Commissioner Cunningham.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-2.
Okay, so I guess then we don't go to the first motion because this one already passed.
Correct.
Okay, Mr. Andy Flowers, go ahead. You're muted, Andy.
Sorry about that. Yes,
Okay.
so we have 4 neighborhoods left. We have Monta Vista North and South, Homestead, Garden Gate, and then Crescent Valley. So
Okay.
we'll start with Monta Vista South, which is number 8. For a total of 22 units. None of these are tier 2. And I'll take you to the map. So this is 8A. There you can see 8B. Here's 8C and 8D.
8.
Could you show 8A and 8B just once?
Yeah.
Oh, clear.
Cleo. Okay, so there's a big house there now?
That currently has a single family home on it with, I think they're trying to build an ADU. The zoning is R3 for it currently. The vacant site across the street, which I think is 8B, is just been vacant for a very long time. The zoning is R3 on that as well.
I don't see 8. Where does it say 8B on there?
that's the empty space. Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, okay, there. Because I didn't see it labeled. Oh, okay, there it is, up by the. Oh, okay, I see.
It's up
it.
by the freeway.
All right, so how many what is the density requested for 8B?
I don't believe these are owner interest sites.
Oh, are these tier 2 sites?
No, they're all
Tier 1, because they're rather small, we kept them as tier 1.
Okay, so what density could be built there with R3?
We're looking at these to be upzoned to be 30 dwelling units to the acre, so you could get 6 to 7 units on these.
Okay, but there's no owner interest, but
At this point, no.
but there might be since they're just sitting there.
Correct, and they're the smaller sized lots.
Yeah, and it backs up to the freeway on.
and I think
Off-ramp.
the areas there are townhomes. I think most of them.
These are mostly duplexes, fourplexes. There's the Habitat for Humanity development on the far east,
All right.
up against the
Okay.
freeway.
So
And then there are some townhome style developments along Garden Side Circle.
Okay, so 8B upzone to, you said 30 units per acre?
Correct.
Okay, and all right, let's go to 8A.
8A is also right there across the
Okay.
street.
So I don't understand, what do they plan to do there if it's already the single family home?
It's to encourage them to build a higher density development with more units.
So there's no owner interest there either,
At
right?
this point now.
I mean, that looks like a pretty new house there. I mean, you would expect them to, that's a single family home there, right?
Yeah.
Yes. It's a legal non-conforming single family home.
Right. I mean, I can't imagine them wanting to tear that down.
They can't expand the house legally.
Right. Yeah. But how many square feet is that house now? It must be 4,000 or something.
It's about 3,000, I think.
Okay. Okay, and then 8C.
8C is I believe the zoning is RHS on that one. It has a fairly flat portion on the east side of the property and then a steep portion on the west side of the property. So it would mean kind of coming up with some standards that split the lot in two.
And there's no owner interest on that either.
I believe there might be, Luke. I thought I saw an email on that.
Yes, I'm sorry. There is owner interest on that site, correct?
Okay, and then 8D.
8D is unsubdivided lot on Rainbow. It's fairly flat.
And owner interest?
I don't believe so, but Luke can confirm. Or maybe there is.
I think there is on the one in Rainbow as well.
Can you check on that, Luke? I'm not 100% certain.
So there's two houses there now?
No, there's only one.
Okay.
So it can be split into two.
Right, if they tear that down.
Correct.
Okay, so was there owner interest or not?
Actually, no, there was not. I was mixing that up with the Regnard site, so no, not for Rainbow.
And how many units would we gain if we did 8D?
Just the one.
Yeah, so okay. Well, yeah, let me see if there's any comments from residents before we
Chair Sharp, if I may, this one can do an SB9 split if they wish to.
Right, so they don't even need the housing element site, really. Okay, there's 4 hands raised. Lisa, you go first. Be brief.
So I had recommended the Housing Commission, or tried to, but I had to leave the meeting before I could. The 8B, the vacant lot on Clio, that's a absolute yes, because it is across from the Habitat from Humanity site, and it's about the same site. It was on the market a few years back and was taken off because it didn't sell, but because it wasn't zoned for what people probably wanted. So if you look on the lower right corner of where the cars are parked in that parking lot and go up a little more on the map, those with the solar panels, that's Habitat for Humanity, and it's 4 or 8. I think it's 8 units, maybe only 4, but they fit in there nicely. It would be the same kind of thing. It would. It's a definite yes for me, if anybody cared.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, now we are on to Jennifer Griffin. Go.
Hi. Yeah, I thought that lot, the empty one, had come up at some point. You guys had talked about it. I think people were upset because it was near the freeway, etc. The other one is, the big house, 8A. I really, it's like, if the owner is not interested in it, it really shouldn't be on tier 1, because what are we trying to do here? Destroy people's homes? Force them to upzone if they don't want to? That's kind of like an invasion of your privacy. And to me, it's like we're going to do eminent domain. Now, that other house that you guys had, the big one, was that 8C? I think there was a single family home. It's not on this map. It's somewhere. You had it in a different part. If you could change the map. That one, the one that they could do an SB9 on. Okay, I would just leave that one off. I mean, it's both of those homes. There are homes that are occupied by a family, and we have no right to try to force families out of
Okay.
their homes.
Thank you, Jennifer. Now Peggy Griffin.
Good evening. I second what Lisa Warren had said about the site. I also want to point out that in our area, we have single family homes, but there are not niches that have patio homes that you can't tell that it's not a single family home. And so like in 8D, you've got, it's a half-acre site, 2 houses. I would think you could put at least 4 on, and not make it look obvious. Just thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, Scott Connolly.
Hi there. This one I'm scratching my head on all 4. 8B would be a great site for a Habitat for Humanity type site, but after setbacks, it's such a funky site. There's no way you're getting 30 units an acre on it. 8A, that's a 3,000 square foot bomber in Cupertino. I would be shocked without owner interest if that's going to get redeveloped. 8C Regnart Road, is there any kind of high fire severity zone in Cupertino like there is in Saratoga? I mean, the topography challenge part of the site is covered with trees. So I'd be questioning if that's in the CAL FIRE severity map. And then 8D, you're going to displace all those folks that are living in those units now and rebuild them with, much higher priced units. That's all that I've got. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Scott. All right. Let's bring it back to the panelists. Okay. All right. Our first speaker is Mooney.
Okay. So on all of these, I think, we should go higher density in my opinion. And here is why, if you start with, 8A, yes, it's a single family home, but, it's surrounded by, all multi units. So if and when that owner chooses to go multi-unit, by all means, it's zoned, right? So, and 8B, vacant site, it's very similar to, what we have done with, one on the McLaren Road and the Bob Road stuff, right? So we can do the same high density there, and it's surrounded by all high densities. 8C, I think it's a great candidate for a multi-unit housing, because Reginald is one of the schools, that struggling with, enrollment, right? So we don't have, enough multi-unit homes in that area. So I think, that would be a nice candidate, given that it's 1.5 acres. I think, that will be a right one for, building some high density housing there. 8D, it's half acre, and, it's, if owner wants to build, great. If not, they're going to go SB 9 route anyway. I wouldn't force a high density there, but no, as one of the residents said, 4 units possible, right? So I think, all of these sites are, calculated very, very low number of units as, getting yielded. But I think, we can get much higher number of units from these, right?
Okay, Govind.
Oh, yeah, okay, I was muted. Yeah, so I think 8B and 8C, if the owners have expressed interest, I think there's absolutely no issues. Both of them look like very good developers. We can go for high density, yes. I agree with Mooney on that side, on that aspect. 8A and 8D, I think I would like anything which kind of borderline looks like eminent domain. I just want to stay away from that because I don't think it's a good idea to force the owner to do something. It's not really appealing. I mean, that's my comments. So if it's possible to split the motion so that we can vote, independently on things where owner has shown interest and where owner has not shown interest, that would be very helpful.
Okay, I just want to point out no one has ever talked about eminent domain. This is, you can put it on the housing element site. Nothing forces the owner to use the entitlement. It's there if they want it.
Chair, with your, I kind of, I understand that there are people here who understand that issue much better than me. The only thing is, I just feel that we should not give an idea that we are trying to do something which looks like as if we are overstepping. So I think if the owner interest is there, I think we definitely go for it. If there's no owner interest, I think to some extent we can find other places where owner might show interest. That's pretty much it. I mean, I'm not the I think planning department knows everything better than us, so I would just leave it to their expertise.
Okay, Tessa.
Yeah, so I just wanted to comment about changing the zoning, at least for the one right that Lisa said, a definite yes. I just being in real estate, there's times where people don't realize, and when it comes to selling and they find out that they're zoned for more housing and it's worth more, they're quite happy. And if it shows that the city's wants more higher density. So I would be in agreement with that or in favor. But if, I'm being told, or we're being told that we only put the ones that show owner interest, then again, it's a bit of a conflict. So maybe phase 2, if we really think, but I mean, tier 2, but even then, I was struck down on the other one because they showed no owner interest. Why would this be different? That's my only comment, but definitely yes on the other one. And high density on this one that Mooney had mentioned, then there's housing all around it. That wouldn't, if we're talking how many floors, so maybe we want to limit to that in consideration of the housing around it. But we do need more housing in that area for the schools to feed to.
Okay, Connie.
I guess just an interesting point that Jovan had made about the, putting something on there where the owner hadn't expressed interest. A little bitty guy like that, yes. A great big guy like Apple, not so much. So I'm just saying, I think that there can be, it depends on the owner, of course, whether he feels like you're trying to force him to do something or if it's something he's really happy about. The main point I would make other than that was that on another issue earlier, last meeting, there was a house that wanted to do, that was too small to do something for us, but because of SB 9, they would be able to do something. So we kept them on the report and were able to claim one additional unit because of that. So anyway, I guess I don't know the difference between that one and this one or these two.
Yeah, I mean that is a good point. If we leave it on, well, Hugh, I think we get credit even if it's an SB9, right? But it's just not part of the housing element.
Correct. We'll be issuing permits. We'll get credit when we issue the permit.
Right. Okay, let's see. I think someone else had their hand raised. Ray Wong.
I just have a comment. It's just more consistency, and I think this is probably confusing a lot of folks in the audience. We keep saying that, okay, we have permission, we don't have permission, right? And so whenever we say, hey, look, we have not heard interest, and so that's not interesting. We get that say push something away, and then sometimes we're like, oh, we hear interest. So what is the criteria that we're all working here? Do we care about interest at all? And back to Connie's point, is if you're a big employer like Apple versus if you're like the little person with a single family home, can we at least be consistent on this policy?
So I think HCD is looking for owner interest when they look at your housing element.
But every time, when staff says, hey, there's no interest here, so let's not look at it, right?
But
okay, great.
But I think it is different for small sites versus large sites because if there's no owner interest on a large site and you put it on anyway, that is not something you really want to do because then you can't use that site in the next housing element. I think it becomes ministerial.
Yeah, it does. It does. So should we be consistent or not is the question I have. So.
Are you saying should we be consistent between small sites and large sites? Or
yeah, I mean, just choose something so it was for consistent.
No, and I would say no, we shouldn't be consistent because
no, I mean consistent on small sites with one policy and consistent on large sites with another.
Yeah. That's fair enough. Anyway, why doesn't someone do a motion on this? I mean, I've heard all sorts of different suggestions regarding density, and do it for all 4 of the 8 ABC and D sites, and
so Go Mooney.
So,
Don't move any.
okay, so I propose, which can be turned into a motion, right? So,
Yeah, so you're making a motion. Okay, don't
yeah.
say you propose.
Okay, so B and C, let's make it, 30 dwelling units. And A is already, 30 density. And D, just remove it.
Right, B is the one we only gain 1 unit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, D is the one that we gain 1 unit because it's 2 units and, we are getting only 1 unit out of it. So they're going to go SB9 lot split, right?
Right, except as Connie pointed out, why don't we just leave it on so then we get credit in our housing element for it?
Okay, yeah. So,
Yeah,
but
so I would leave that on.
okay, so then why don't we make it, like a 4 unit? I think, somebody suggested that, we could get 4 units out of it.
Right, so what do we just set the density to get that, or how would we do that? Luke,
It would be a much higher density than the neighboring properties around there, which are all zoned for residential hillside.
Right.
With a fairly, I think it's oh gosh, it's low density with the slope density formula because of the slopes out there. So I mean, it is entirely up to the commission about what it wants to do, but I would just have you consider that it's within a residential hillside neighborhood, completely within one.
So then let's leave 8D as it is. What about 8C? Can 8C go 30 units?
That is also an RHS area. The way that we were suggesting that it be done is that maybe part of the site that is flatter could be R1 7.5, for example. I think that would yield a certain number of units. But this is, if you're looking for higher density, like an apartment development over there, I don't
No,
think
I'm looking for townhomes type
townhouses.
Townhouses.
I don't think there will be room to develop townhomes between the topography and the infrastructure that needs to be put in to support that. But that's my assessment of the site based on the slopes that are out there. But it might be, you might have the single family densities in the flatter part.
It's 1.5 acres.
Correct, but a lot of it is sloped. So almost everything that is west of Lindy Lane is sloped pretty steeply.
Pew, is there a fire risk that we have to worry about too?
There is that too, but not there, which is why this is on here. If it was a complete fire risk, we would not have the site on here. But it is right at the base of where Regnark Road, starts to turn really steep going up into the hills. It's right at that turn.
Okay, Govind, what did you want to ask?
Yeah, I think I know this area because my classmate lives there. So I think I understand that topography is difficult, but if we upzone, maybe some developer would be interested in buying the property. There are ways to handle the slope issue. So I think it might be interesting if we provide higher density to some developers. That's pretty much it.
Okay, Connie.
Okay, yeah, I'm finally realizing what this site, it's kind of on a curvy piece of road, the one on Regnart. No. Oh.
Right, it's right where Regnart turns from Lindy. There,
okay, now I'm seeing it. That is not the curvy place I was thinking of. It must be a different road. So I retract my question.
Okay, very good. Anybody? So, right. So, can we have a motion on the 8th? Oh wait, I'm sorry. Someone else just raised their hand, I guess. Did they? Oh, Tessa.
No, I was just going to propose that we go with what the staff suggested, and because either way, the single family home, or we add it, we don't. It really is not really. I mean, I'd be in agreement with going with what the staff proposed on all of them.
And I would agree with you. So you're making a motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So your motion is to follow the staff proposal for all of those sites.
Yes, sir.
And I will second that. Okay, Luke.
Okay. Planning Commission Chair Sharp,
Aye.
Commissioner Maripatla,
No.
Commissioner Wong,
No.
Housing Commission Chair Parrish,
Aye.
Commissioner Tatachari,
No.
Commissioner Cunningham.
Aye.
We had a 3-3 vote, so the
It
motion
fails. Okay. So someone that voted no, propose what they want in order to change their vote to a yes.
So I want 8C to be a little bit higher density. It's 1.5 acres, and we are wasting land there.
Despite the slope.
I visited that area. It's an okay slope. You really could mitigate that if you really wanted to build. And I
Okay,
agree.
so tell us what density you want there, and make a motion.
1.5 back of the envelope calculation. I don't know. You could probably do 30 there.
And what is it now?
5.
5 units per acre.
Wow, 30?
I mean, you don't want to blow up the neighborhood, but
I would say maybe 15.
Yeah, I mean, we have to consider the driving, the slope, the driveways, and the the plumbing,
I'm
the
okay with
infrastructure.
15.
Yeah, 15 sounds
Okay.
more like it.
All right, so Tessa, redo your
No,
motion.
Mooney's doing it.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
somebody that said no.
Okay, so my motion is keep 8A, 8B, 8D as is in tier 1, and keep 8C also in tier 1 with a change where the density goes from 5 units per acre to 15 units per acre.
Okay.
I'll second that many.
Okay, let's vote again.
Okay, Commissioner Sharp,
Aye.
Commissioner Maripatla,
Yes.
Commissioner Wong,
Aye.
Commissioner Parrish,
Aye.
Commissioner Tatachari,
Aye.
Commissioner Cunningham.
No.
Okay, motion passed 5-1.
Great. Okay, Andy, let's move on.
Okay, next we have Monta Vista North. And so that's the 7th. We have 2 sites, one that's composed of 4 parcels, and the other one is a tier 2. I understand we're ignoring the tier 2s now, so we're just going to be looking at the single site, 7A, and that has a total of 45 units. I'll share the map.
All right, that's like that ranch site, right? Or whatever it is now. Okay. All right, so on one side, on the north is the country club, and what is to the west? Are those? That's
That's a trail there, the Stevens Creek Trail.
It's the Deep Cliff Golf Course.
right. Okay.
There
Okay, so those are the 7A. Those are existing units, and then to the south is single-family homes.
To the south is single family homes, yes.
Okay. And so and this is what's the size of this? How many acres?
It's about, let's see.
What is the number?
All
You're like close to
together,
2.5,
these are, where is it?
all combined is 2.98, almost 3 acres.
Okay. All right. Okay.
It's 2.5 acres.
Okay.
Oh, so because of that you removed the tier 2?
Yes, because that is not part of it.
Right. So
Okay.
I'm going to go to the attendees. First is Jennifer. Go ahead.
Is this are we discussing flatland here or not?
Flat. It's all flat.
Okay, all right. Now I don't know if it's currently zoned agricultural or whatever, but I think this one would cause a hue and a cry from the neighbors. So I just putting high density in there, it's like at this point, who gives a hang what HCD thinks? I think you're going to have a battle royal from the neighbors over this. And I think that one should proceed cautiously because you could do high density housing there, but Linda Vista is a very narrow road. The roads in and out of there are very, very tight. And what about parkland back there? I'm just saying that's fire risk, etc. Is that the creek there that's going, I see on the left? I think that maybe Steve, is that Stevens Creek there? Or is that the golf course? Does that rent or be?
No, that's a golf course, and
That's the trail. That's the Stevens Creek Trail.
that's a trail. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You're gonna get, if you do high density housing in there and you don't tell the neighbors, I don't care what HCD even thinks, they're gonna get hell on wheels. So I think we need to proceed cautiously. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa, go ahead.
I'm all for this. You've had two of the family members asking and participating in these meetings. I don't think they're here tonight. Maybe they are. Hopefully they'll speak. Good. I hope they speak. They've been wanting to be on the site. They were not happy with the process. They weren't told whether they were on or off. And my guess is because long ago, this street named after the family, this U, was created a street for development, and it never happened for whatever reason. This is exactly where we need smaller, lower income, potentially, hopefully, homes. This is how we mix neighborhoods. This is perfect. So please, yes. In fact, I don't even know if maybe the property owners could weigh in on what they think the density should be.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, I do see one person with the same name. Would you like to speak on this, Barris?
There are two of them with the same name.
Okay.
You have Roy and Barris there.
Yeah, they've been there in all meetings.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, I see Roy and Barris. Yeah, I mean, you guys are welcome to talk about. I will. If you wish, there's no requirement, of course, and you're not raising your hand. Okay, so yeah, that's fine. So let's bring it back to the our panelists and see who would like. Well, I'm going to go first this time. So I think this is a great site. I mean, we desperately need housing out in this area. I believe it would go to Regnard if it was reopened. This is like one of the only large sites we have in that area. And yes, you often have residents say, I don't want high density near my house, but we are very limited, and we've heard over and over, why is everything on the east side? We need somewhere on the west side, and this is our opportunity. So yeah, I would be very much in favor of this. And Luke, what is the density per acre that we're suggesting?
For these sites, it's 20 units per acre.
Okay. I mean, I would, so that would be what, townhouses or detached? Or
townhomes would be a good fit at that density, yes.
Right. And if we went higher density, what could it be?
I don't know. Are you contemplating like something in the 30 per acre range?
Right. Yeah.
You're probably getting more into the condominium type of development at that density.
Yeah. I mean, I think townhomes would be appropriate, but I'm sure the neighbors could live with townhomes.
Yeah, townhomes could also be done at the 25 dwelling per acre range, if that is.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we should push it to 25. If that can still be townhomes, and of course they don't have to go that high either, right? They can go lower if they choose. So let's go back to the commissioners. Connie, you go first.
Oh, okay, because my question had been about the density. And so I do think that moving it like you had suggested to 25 and remain a good fit in that neighborhood. So thank you for covering that.
Okay, and next we have Mooney.
Okay, so how do we separate 7As and 7Bs here? I'm kind of confused. So if you look at it, yeah, so everything says 7A, which is 7B.
7B is a tier 2, so we are ignoring
Right,
it for now.
we're not considering it.
Okay. So, but it's not even on the map anywhere. I thought, for other locations.
It is.
Okay, so that's totally different. Okay, so go back to 7A then. Sorry. So, I would like to see. So I have a question to you. I thought, you said, we can do 30 dwellings per acre and still be townhomes. That's what I remember you saying, when we were discussing about properties on Metal and other areas. So how come, now you're saying, it's 25, not 30?
It just depends on the size of the lot and how much you would need for ingress, egress, etc., circulation that kind of goes around it. So putting all of that together is just based on, again, these are there is no magic math to it, but this is kind of the range that we see in development.
Okay.
It just comes from that.
Okay. So my ask would be to maximize, because this is the only vacant site on the west side that we can add some decent density, because there are a lot of schools there, including a Reginald school, that's suffering. And at the same time, without compromising privacy for the neighboring single family homes. So if you can manage, the height and privacy and get the maximum density, like, 25 or 30, I'm all for it.
Can we invite David to speak if there's an additional comment you'd like to make?
Yeah, I mean, I think my only comment would be that when you look at 30 units per acre, I mean, you could get there with townhomes. They're going to be fairly small and narrow townhomes. You're definitely at the very high end of that. I think that, development at that level might tend to push more into flats, but depends on the development.
Right. So thanks for that input, David. So if that's the case, because I remember quite a few small properties where, we said, oh, we can go 30 DUs per acre and still be townhomes, right?
Those would be more row house style townhomes as opposed to small lot, single family styles. So just different kinds of townhomes. Even townhomes have different development styles.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Stephen.
Okay. Let's see who's next. R Wong. Before we go to R Wong, I see there were two more members of the public. Wait, Jennifer, you already spoke. But Rhoda, did I miss you somehow?
I didn't see the hand raised earlier, sir.
Yeah, they didn't raise hands earlier, but they're raising now. Yeah.
Good evening. I just wanted to comment about the statement that there wasn't much of anything on this side of town. As you know, on Foothill, there's already been some development. There's also development going on it's Foothill that turns into Stevens Canyon Road. There's two developments, one over by Bate Brothers and another one further down toward that goes towards Stevens Creek Reservoir. There was also the property beyond Linda Vista Park that at one time was going to be a school, at one time was going to be housing. There are other properties over here, so this is not the only one. And I just want to make that comment. I would have had all of my duckies lined up and my homework done, but I'm hoping you know which properties I'm talking about. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rhoda. Okay, let's go back to the participants, our panelists here. Ray, you were next.
Yeah, I still really want to hear from the owners as to what they can do, but there are a lot of opportunities and possibilities in this land. I hope we still reflect the height changes, so we put some height caps that make sense for that area. I know it's next to the golf course, which is nice, but there's still a lot of single family homes there that are less dense. So I just want to make sure we reflect that. For the property owners, if you're paying attention, I mean, please raise your hand. I think we're all curious to see if you have any interest. You have a huge opportunity here to, I mean, with that plot of land, build almost anything you really want to. I mean, I think the sky's the limit if you really want to think about it that way. I do appreciate the low density that's there and the isolation that's there. So if someone wants to turn that into a museum or park, that's great too. But I think you have a huge opportunity from a development standard. And if you're paying attention, please jump in. We'd love to hear from you. I see Barris's hand is up.
Wonderful. Thank you, Barris.
I yield my time to Barris.
Okay, Barris, go ahead.
Yes. Well, thank you. And I agree with a number of the comments that were earlier made about its proximity to some of the schools, and it hasn't been utilized for some time. And a point I wanted to also make, that the commissioner just said that about interest. We showed interest when we filled out the application. So is there some other interest that we need to, or another way we need to communicate that?
No, that's it. Yeah, we just, we'd like to, know, what your plans are in terms of, what you want to build there. If is it townhomes or condos or single family homes or row houses?
Well, to that issue, that was also addressed in the application that we completed. And the point we made was that we are not developers. We would rely on someone else, but we did include in our suggestion for how to better utilize this property would be townhomes or higher density. So without getting more specific than that, that was our recommendation.
Okay. Yeah. And I think our planning staff, they mentioned, between, 20 and 30 units per acre would be suitable for townhomes.
And that would certainly be acceptable to us.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful.
Oh, that's great that we've heard from them. I
Yeah.
do have a good point here. Is like we have a number of folks that have advocated for higher density all across the city, but when it comes to their own neighborhoods, they've traditionally shied away from it. So here's a chance for those people to practice what they preach. So I think it'd be a great opportunity. So.
Okay. Thank you, Ray. And let's see who else wants to speak here. We have next Govind.
Oh, thank you, Chair. I think the first comment I would like to make is that this is the most attractive site that I can think of. It's got greenery around it. You can already see on the thing that you have tennis courts. So kind of, facility-wise, this is a very attractive site, and the amount of open space around it. Second point is that I think I feel very comfortable saying that we can go for a density of 25 dwelling units per acre here, if that's going to help the builder, the developer. I do have a concern about the single family home. So I'm trying to figure out if there's a way that they can redo this, design of the Evilage court. Is that what it is? So that the court runs on both sides, the road runs on both sides, closer to the single family homes as well as on the other side, so that all the density is inside in that area. That way, to some extent, just the setback that it provides would boost that.
Okay. I don't know what happened there. Okay. The Govind. Did we lose? Okay.
Oh, did you lose me?
No, you're there. That's fine. I guess you were done. Okay. Next we have Tessa Parrish.
Yeah, so I just wondered, so, Lisa had mentioned great for density, and I agree with that, and wondered, Pew had mentioned that the range where 30 plus qualifies for the low income bonus density. And though I really want to respect the height limitations in that neighborhood, there could also be some attractive condos. I don't know why condos are not a possibility, or only townhomes are being, just because it is such a great location and it is in an area that we really need school students from. I've seen neighborhoods in Los Gatos by Almendra where there's all single family and then there's a pretty large apartment building right there. And they did it very nicely. It looks great. No, there's not a problem. Just wondering why we can't consider condos and go for 30. So we have some low income units there.
Okay, thank you. And I think you did mention that you could still do townhomes at 30. They would just be narrower. And yeah, I mean, I've owned a townhome in Campbell. It's garage underneath and then 2 levels above, and they are quite narrow. But and since there's parking for each unit with a 2-car garage, you're not wasting a lot of space on parking lots. And it works pretty well, and they are. I think it's pretty attractive. So I would not oppose going to 30 units per acre here, and let whoever ends up buying this and property and developing it, they can decide if they want to do townhomes, if it works at 30, or condos. Yeah, I know sometimes people don't want condos next to single family homes, but we are trying to meet our housing element here and meet our RENA, and if that's what it takes, I think we should go for 30.
I'll support that motion.
Okay, so that's my motion to take 7A and go to 30. Hold on, let me go back to the map. And then what was the other one? Oh, 7B is a tier 2, so we're not even considering it.
Chair,
So that's,
if I may.
who is that?
This is Pew. If you
Okay.
do go to 30 dwelling units to the acre for this particular site, I just wanted to check in on the height issue for this particular site as well.
Okay.
This is a 30 foot site at this point. So I just wanted to throw that out about
3 stories.
That's what you're looking for.
So 30 feet, you could only do 2 stories, right?
3 stories, you could
3
potentially
stories.
do 3 stories.
Right. I mean, my thought was, a 2-car garage, and on top of it, 2 stories. So you could do like 1,200 square foot units or whatever. So that's my motion to take 7A at 30 units per acre. And I think Tessa seconded it.
Yes.
All right, so let's vote.
Oh, sorry about that. Planning Commission Chair Sharp.
Aye.
Commissioner Matipatla.
Yes.
Commissioner Wong.
Aye.
Commissioner Parrish.
Aye.
Commissioner Tadichari.
Aye.
And Commissioner Cunningham.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously with the increased density.
Wonderful. Let's go, Andy, to the next one.
Thank you, Chair. I do want to bring your attention to we're hitting our second 2-hour mark. Did you want to take a break?
I think we'll take a break at 10 o'clock if we're not done.
Okay, we have 3 left. We have Homestead, Garden Gate, and Crestline Flower.
Okay.
Okay, bring this back to the list. So the next one, Homestead, number 4. Homestead Villa. 4A, we have a single site. It's on Maxine Avenue for a total of 5 new sites.
Wait, so we're going from 2 to 5, or a total of 7, or a total of?
Can you pull up the map?
Yes, I'm going to the map next, but I just wanted to stay here until the chair has completed his.
No, I was just wondering. This is existing and total new. Okay, so the total of units will be 5.
7.
Yeah,
the total would be 7, and so that
Okay.
a total number of new units would be 5.
Okay, right. Okay, so let's go to the map. 5 units. 5 more units is worth that.
a question to staff. This area is surrounded, if I remember correctly, by multi-family homes. Is that correct, or duplexes, or are they all single?
The site that we're looking at is in the duplex zone. So east of Maxine, everything is a duplex. West of
Got it. And it's
Maxine,
against the freeway, right?
Correct.
It's 85, right?
It is
got it.
against 85, that off ramp.
Just making sure. I did visit this site. Just wanted to make sure.
Okay. All right. So we're not getting rid of those existing units, right? We're just adding.
It would be a redevelopment. And
okay.
Most likely.
Redevelopment.
Okay. So we are.
Yeah, I'm like, why can't we go higher there? Because, the same rules apply in other locations that we saw that had a similar characteristic.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see if any from the public wants to comment on this one. Okay, Lisa.
I just want to comment in general because we're going to run out of opportunities for public to speak. I still am hoping, and I don't see it happening, that there will be sites not on this list that are considered in areas that we need to spread out to. And they've been mentioned before, the 3 sections of part of the city. There's properties, we get back into this confusion. And I will repeat loudly if I need to again, that just because a property owner doesn't reply to what they may or may not have received from the city doesn't mean they're not interested. And there's all this confusion and wanting to treat those aspects differently depending on the site. It's really frustrating to watch. It was asked, where's some consistency? And I understand it can't necessarily be completely consistent, but there needs to be, to me, better guidelines for that. Again, an example, Pizza Hut, Fontana's. It's been brought up by people from all over the city. And I wish that some of those things would be added in. So
okay, thank you, Lisa. Next is Scott Connolly. Go.
Hi there. Just a quick point. I know we've moved on, but it was great that the Village owners came on the phone and spoke and were candid that they're not developers and that they're looking to potentially redevelop their site. But I think David from ELS would have some comments. I mean, when you guys take a townhome site to 30 units an acre, you cannot build that unless every single unit is tandem. And I would question with Pew or Luke, in the last 7 to 10 years in Cupertino, attached townhome developments have been approved. I would be hard pressed to find one at 30 units an acre. And so I would just say, we're talking about a minimum density here. So that's what you're establishing. So to do it at 20 and let a developer that wants to do it at 30 have that right, that would give the property owner the most flexibility. Sorry for having to go back one. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Jennifer. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Thank you. This site is, I don't know if this is over by the post office, but I was just curious about how narrow that lot got back there and whether you guys would be trying to put housing back in that narrow area. I don't know. It looks like a potentially buildable site, but you might have some noise from the off-ramp, etc. And is that a multifamily home that's on the lot, or is that one home already? And I'm just going to kind of echo what the previous person said about, I'll just dip back to the previous one. You're going to get, at 30 units, you're going to get pushed back big time from the neighborhood. Anyway, but this looks like an interesting site. I just was curious if that was a single family home. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So Pew, the one we recently voted is 30 units per acre.
I had suggested 25, sir, for the
Right,
townhome.
right. I know you did, but we can revisit that. I mean, what happens if the property owner says, hey, 30 is too much, I want to do 25? Are they not allowed to do it now?
They can do.
Andy, maybe you can help with that. I think we are hoping to establish some minimum densities rather than maximum. But Andy, do you have any thoughts on that?
Our goal is to establish minimum densities, but it's something we can note as we carry this forward to council. I think the caller makes a good point that we do want to make sure that whichever direction we go with this, that there is flexibility enabled for that property owner to go between 20 and 30.
Okay, maybe the city attorney should comment, because it was my understanding that, you're not required, just because we said you can go to 30 doesn't mean you can't do 25 or 27 if that's the way it works out. But if I'm wrong, yeah, please tell us. We can go back and revisit this.
I'll defer to Andy, who seems to indicate that that we're going to be presenting this as a recommendation to council, and that they adopt it, and it's this document to HCD that we're establishing minimums. So in light of this discussion, perhaps the appropriate course is to move to rescind your prior motion and then have a new one.
Okay, so I don't know if I got the answer to the question, but so you're saying if we present this as part of our housing element to HCD saying 30 units per acre, and then the property owner comes up with a project for approval that's 29 units per acre, that would not be acceptable to who? To HCD? I mean, what would happen to us?
Well, at that point, I think we're representing that it's going to be a minimum density, and so the development would not be able to meet that standard.
Right. I mean, we're rezoning it to that density, right?
Right.
We're
right.
rezoning it to 30 units per acre, but I mean, it's not required that they, that's the maximum density we're rezoning it to. They don't have to do 30 units per acre.
So one of the things that we also have to think about, Chair, is, and that's from a policy standpoint, is whether we establish our minimums as our maximums to kind of hit the numbers that we're hoping to hit with our housing element. Of course, that's a bigger discussion that, is from a policy perspective. Right now, we're looking to establish these densities for purposes of figuring out how we do our environmental review and such, and then, establish our policies based on where we end up with that.
Okay. All right, let me hear from the other commissioners here. Mooney, go ahead.
So I'm totally confused about this the minimum, maximum, and how come we do 30 DUs in other parts of the city, but here we are having a huge discussion about 25 or 30, right? So if we are going to revisit that, then to me we need to revisit every site that we said 30 DUs per acre with townhomes. Right? I understand the 50 and above is more like apartments and a lot more height, but most of the other ones that we did with the 30 DUs per acre, they were done thinking that they would be townhomes, and so that they're because they're right next to single family homes. So I'm kind of confused. That's general comment. Coming to this particular site, to me, this site looks like a good opportunity to go for a higher density as well, because it's in line with two other similar properties that we approved higher density for. One on the Bub Road property, the other one was closer to that the location where I think it's a 7C or something like that, right? So where their habitat homes are Habitat for Humanity homes. So that site also we have approved a higher density because it was a very similar characteristic.
So if I may, I was just looking at the spreadsheet, and a lot of what we've approved at the, or rather the motions that we've made at the 30, those are kind of, the one that we talked about for townhomes was a homestead that we discussed today, which was, as I mentioned, we did that at the 15 dwelling unit per acre. This was the one that we talked about, the general plan amendment authorization. In terms of the other sites, I'm trying to figure out where we discussed
6B and 6D.
6B and 6D. Let me look at that. Sorry, I just need to refresh my memory. Yes, so those ones, let me see. The developer actually did come up with a plan based on what he has developed at Sunnyvale, which were row homes. They were attached row homes. He kind of came up with a sort of plan where he said he can make 20 units fit on that particular parcel, which was I want to say it was
6.78.
Yeah, it was
they both are like 3/4 of an acre.
Correct. And he came up with, actually this is not the one that I'm looking at.
Even the one that's a P, there is a project, I think it's a P8, I think, right? That also
P8 was the one that was acknowledged as, let me see, sorry, I'm just gonna, yeah, P8 is the one where the developer wanted to do at the 20 dwelling unit per acre. That was the motion. It was 20 dwelling units per acre. It was a 0.99 acre site. And the developer said that they could do attached row homes at that density. That was P8.
Okay.
And so that was the motion from the last meeting.
All right. So let me go to the other speakers and then maybe we can reconsider. Maybe first let's finish the one we're working on, okay?
Yes, point of order, please. Point of order. Can we complete this conversation?
Right.
And go to the back one?
Right. Does anyone have any more comments on the one that we are currently considering, not going back to the Evelich property?
Yes.
If anyone has more comments on the one we are currently considering, speak now. Go ahead.
Govind. This Govind. Actually, I think I would also recommend if the property owner wants it, is kind of agree to it, then I think we should go here at probably 30, somewhere around 25 to 30.
No, we're not talking about
units.
that now. We're not talking about that one now.
No, I'm not talking. I'm talking about 4A.
Oh, 4A. Oh, you're
the one
talking
which
about
we are
4A.
discussing.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. So that's a longer thing which I will get back to whenever the the 4A I think can go for higher density. It can be 25 or 30. I would recommend 25 instead of 30. 25 dwelling units per acre. So I think this is a very interesting site, and as long as they can build some kind of a wall, sound wall on the other side as equivalent, then this could be a very good site to add units.
Okay, let's go on to Tessa. Go.
I had the same comment as Mooney. If there was any way to increase the density to that one, because it seemed to match. I wanted to hear what the Planning Commission had to say about that. That's all.
Okay, are you making a motion or? Well, let's
No,
hear.
I wanted to find out what the Planning Commission recommended for that one was. I mean, the Planning Commission, the
Planning Department.
Let's go through all the hand raised.
Okay. R. Wong, go ahead.
I was going to make the motion so we could end debate. I was going to make the motion to make that 20 DU for 4A, and hopefully there's a second so we can carry that forward.
20 DU for 4A. Okay.
Pew,
before we
units,
do that, do you have any?
Probably a 3-story.
Is there any problem with that?
It's just a very odd shaped lot for that kind of density. It's a triangular piece. So what will end up happening is that you might have some of the units, and maybe David can help with it. Dave can help with this. Be stacked more on the south end of the site as opposed to on the north end. But David, do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, those types of triangular sites are really tough in terms of trying to get the parking in. So you probably would try to put most of the bulk to the south of the site, and then where it's less efficient, maybe you try to park it up to the north.
Right.
I mean, that's sort of the easiest way to go about it. So you won't get as high of a DU count as you would on, let's say, a rectilinear site.
But on the south side, there is a single family home. We need to be careful about that.
That is a duplex on the south side as well.
Duplex, okay.
Chad, if I may speak, so the thing is, I know a similar site which is there on Rainbow Drive, which is when we are, but it's in San Jose. So I don't exactly know whether this can be compared because we are Cupertino, they are San Jose. There's a similar triangular site where what they have done is they put the parking on the north side here. Equivalent would be a parking on the north side, and then all the units are towards the south. So they have a very good layout. I've visited that several times.
But you don't know what the density is.
Sorry, well, I can find out, but I don't think.
No, that's okay. I just thought, don't want to do something that's impractical here. If 20 is too high, we could, and 10 is too low, we could compromise on 15.
Is 20 15 units? Is that correct? Or 14 units?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question, sir.
Is a 20 DU on that site of 0.71 acres? That's about 14 units. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Correct.
And you could stack 4, 4, and probably 2, 4, 4, 4, 3. Okay, I'm just saying, like the confusion is really in some sites we're like, okay, and this goes back to the other issue. We could do 30. They could build condos. They'll do something different. And then in this site, we're in the same conversation point. It's the same argument of, there's like, oh, we can't do it here, but let the developers figure it out. So we use different excuses for different sites, and I think that's the confusion. So
no, I think 20 is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, just one more thing. Sorry, I don't mean to confuse the issues, but this particular site has an I overlay on it, which makes it limited to a single story. So this is limited in the zoning to 18 feet currently. Of course, that.
What's an I overlay?
A single story overlay.
And
Why?
can that be removed or?
Yes, it can, but I just wanted to clear that out, that currently all the sites south of it are limited to 18 feet as well.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with this site going higher, seeing that it's right next to the freeway anyway. So, yeah, Ray, I'll second your motion if no one else did.
No, you wanted to know what the DU count that was reasonable. I suggested 20. I think staff is saying maybe 15. Whatever makes sense is fine with me.
Okay.
I would motion for DU 20 if it is acceptable. If it goes down, I mean, if it's voted down, that's fine.
Okay, I'll second you, Govind.
Okay, but let's vote.
I guess I have a question though, because we've never come to grips with whether that's a minimum or a maximum. And on this paperwork that has been handed out to us, it's like there's a current maximum density, and then there's the new minimum density. So that's why I tend to think that the minimum idea is what we're going with, rather than maximum. Does anybody else have a question still in their minds about what?
No, I think now we understand that, I think I can't speak for everyone. I think we all believe that if we voted for, say, 30 and the property owner said, well, I only want to build 25, that's okay, but we would lose a certain number of units in our arena because, they're doing less than what is authorized. But that, we do have a buffer to take care of some of that, those changes.
We have
That's not how I understand it, but if that's the way everybody else understands it.
But now, yeah, now it seems like, oh, no, this is the you know, if we say 30 units per acre, that they have to do 30. They can't do, or more.
I'm hoping Andy has an answer.
Okay, Andy, go.
Okay, the number that we're calculating right now is our anticipated number that we would like to see built at these sites. Whether we go with minimum or maximum, that'll be a policy question that we move forward, and you'll see that again. What we know is that if we set this as a max and tried to go forward with our plan, HCD would not believe it. You cannot just use your max and have that be your RENA number.
Right.
So this is the number that we need in order for our EIR to begin, for our CEQA analysis to begin. Right. Because this is the target number that we're anticipating for these sites.
Right. Okay.
To me, you know, this is a target number. There could be plus or minus, but every one of them, you know, that build less, there are going to be a bunch of them, you know, building with a density bonus and all that stuff, right? So it's kind of, you know, in the large scheme, on a larger base, it evens out.
Agreed.
I agree.
Chair.
Sense.
Yeah, go ahead. There already is a motion on the table, so yeah.
There's already a motion.
Right. If
right.
you have a substitute motion, that's fine.
No, it was a substitute motion, yes. Andy had previously suggested that we could put it in with an explanation, so we could make a motion where, you know, it could possibly go from 15 to 20, depending on. My understanding was that if we put a minimum, say on the other 130 or this 120, but if it went to planning and it just couldn't be done, no one's going to say they can't build less, I don't think. So anyway, my substitute motion is to put it in with an explanation, as Andy suggested, and I go for 20 on this one.
Okay, Ray, you wanted to speak one more time.
I'll second that. That's fine.
Okay, all
I
right.
was just going to basically say the market's going to determine what can really be built anyways. I mean, so.
Right. It's just we don't want to be, you know, right. Yeah, I think that's fine. If they can't build 30, well, you know, we'll deal with that later. But yeah, okay. So let's vote on this one.
So the motion says what exactly, please?
The motion is 20 with an explanation that it could be 50 to 20.
Oh,
okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Luke.
Okay, Chair Sharp.
Aye.
Commissioner Maripatla.
Yes.
Commissioner Wong.
Aye.
Commissioner Parrish.
Aye.
Commissioner Tadachari.
Aye.
And Commissioner Cunningham.
Aye.
The motion passes with the increased density.
Okay, let's reconvene at 10:10.